Welcome to We Digress with Joy and Jess. Join hosts and longtime friends Joy Simpson and Jess Perry as they tackle the stuff of life the only way they know how, with honesty, faith, and humor. This is We Digress with Joy and Jess.
Like, I wish the whole helpful Honda days had been you.
Well, we can put it in there. Hey, everybody. Welcome to We Digress with Joy and Jess. I'm Joy.
That would, make me Jess. It's going to be one of those episodes today, guys.
We can feel it. Yeah, I feel it in my bones.
I promise this is just apple cider.
And this is just strawberry acai with vanilla. And then I also have a tea. I have 2 beverages for the show today.
Oh.
I wasn't planning to, but I was cold. But I also needed this for my points. Starbucks gets you with their little earn 100 extra stars if you get 29 strawberry acais in 5 days.
Right? It's always some ridiculous number. Like, excuse me, sir, I am not ordering that.
But I had come this far. I was like, I got to get my last one.
Target has one right now where it's like, spend $150 twice in like 5 days. And I'm like, Target, I mean, I'm going to do it, but
that part.
Target.
Did you spend your 5% off birthday points?
I absolutely did.
Me too. Good job.
Yes.
I have to tell people you need to, I believe in birthday rewards. You feel me? I am the person that goes around and gets everything. I still have things that have not expired yet that I'm going to get. My Johnny Rockets.
Okay. My
Cold Stone is still available. I missed out on my Baskin Robbins and my Jamba Juice this year because I was busy with the party. But I got my Sephora. I got my Ulta. I got my Starbucks. I didn't get my Coffee Bean this year. But I rack up the points every year. I believe in it. I did my Target.
That's what I didn't get while we were in LA.
What?
Should have gotten Coffee Bean.
You should have got coffee. There was one not far from you in Playa Vista. Right on the other side of the freeway, basically.
I know. Dadgummit.
Coffee Bean is the best. I do.
It really is.
Though I'm drinking Starbucks right now, # not sponsored. When it comes to their coffee, Starbucks is cool, but Coffee Bean's coffee is actually quite superior to Starbucks.
Testify.
Coffee.
You speak true.
Starbucks is just more convenient because there's not a lot of coffee beans anymore. Maybe Coffee Bean should have used the Helpful Honda days.
Right? Maybe. They actually built a bunch. There it is. They built a bunch, 2 really nice ones, both of them drive-thrus, within a mile of our Brea house, about a year. The second one opened about a year before we moved. And I enjoyed it with every part of my heart.
Yeah, especially
and now I'm the closest Coffee Bean is 4 hours away.
Yeesh.
In the Atlanta airport.
Yeesh.
I know.
No, thank you.
We did have
and they
really
have better
good
pastries.
Though. Huh?
And I tell people all the time, Coffee Bean has better pastries than Starbucks.
They do.
Especially now. I don't know, whenever Starbucks changed their bakery people, I don't do the pastries really like that, except for maybe the croissant.
Yeah. And you have to say it like that too.
You do.
Croissant.
Especially, I have French ancestry in me somewhere. They would be disappointed if I
This is true.
Didn't say it correctly.
This is true. I'm Lebanese, so I probably do at some point too, but
probably. We should do a DNA thingy and do it on the show.
But see, I don't want the government to have my DNA.
Why do you sound like my other friend? My other friend was like, it's just a tool for the government to get your DNA, and then they can do whatever they want with it.
So correct. That is so right. Okay, to be fair, they caught the guy who was the Golden State Killer. Mad props, super excited, way to go justice, because of 23andMe.
Yeah.
But I don't. We don't need.
I don't need them catching up with my
DNA in a government database.
I am curious though to know, because I know I have so many things blood wise. I have Creole, I have Native American, I have African American, there's European, Matter of fact, I remember my cousin Addison, he was doing in high school, they had them do like an ancestry report. And it turns out we had more European on his father's side, who is my uncle, my mom's brother, than his mother's side, who is not black. So, uh, so when my uncle was looking at it, like Addison was like, "Dad, look, blah 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 blah." He was like, "Oh yeah, makes sense because your mom, blah blah blah." He's like, "Dad, look, that's not mom's side. That's your side." I was like, "Bro, did you forget your mother's grandmother was white? Like, my grandmother's father was half white. Like, no, nobody. Okay." So my mom was like, "Yeah, duh." Like, but so I would be interested to know, like, percentage wise, like who is
Right.
what. But I feel you on the government having your DNA. I am a conspiracy theorist somewhat. So, so,
Yeah, this is a safe space
so I get
because
it.
I'm one too.
I'm all about, the government killed JFK, MLK, Bobby Kennedy. It was all the government.
Oh,
Like
see,
I'm with it. But
there's one of them, JFK Jr., I think faked his own death.
do you really?
Well, kind of. Not really. There's a part of me that really wants to believe Michael Jackson faked his own death.
There's a part of a lot of people that want to think that Michael Jackson faked his own death, but then there's also a whole bunch of people that also think that Tupac faked his death and that Biggie is still somewhere around. Now, personally, I'd be all right if Tupac was still alive because I was a Tupac fan when he was alive. But, I don't think he's here. But
admittedly, that was not a genre I had much to do with back in the day. So
yeah, I can imagine that not being your thing. But Michael Jackson, I get it.
Yeah. Also,
then
Princess
when Prince
Diana
died, I was devastated. Yeah, I kind of wanted that one to be like a fake death because I really love Princess Diana. Like, she was the princess of America. Like, she wasn't at all. But
right? Do you remember where you were when you heard?
I was actually at home when I found out. And I was heartbroken. Like, it was my auntie. Like, for real, like, devastated. Like, I knew this woman. Like,
right?
I see pictures of her now and I still go, "Oh, Princess Diana." Like,
right?
she was not American at all. But I feel like growing up, she was like the women's hero. Like, we talk about, like, I know we talk a lot about ministry and things like that, but when it comes to like original women's empowerment, and not saying that people in the United States, because you have like Angela Davis and all those kind of people, but for on a world spectrum, she was like one of the first, like, no, we're going to help the poor and we're going to help women and I'm going to break stereotypes and my kids are going to break stereotypes. Like,
right?
She didn't, so when the whole Meghan Markle thing happened and people were talking about like how she was messing up, whatever, I'm like, do y'all not remember Princess Diana? Like,
right?
She was breaking all the rules, man. Like, she was the first one to send her kids to a public school instead of having a school being taught at the palace. She was, a lot of the stuff that Meghan Markle did, low key, was like, for real, her mother-in-law. Like, she was like taking over. No offense to Kate. Like, Kate is cool. She does her thing. Her and William, whatever. But I felt like Meghan Markle was more of a Princess Diana type. Don't at me, but that's just how I felt about it.
Agreed. I'm team Meghan and Harry.
I am team Meghan and Harry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also team disappointed in the other people. Except for the queen. I heard the queen was dope. Like, she was still with it. She was still like, I love my grandson. Same thing with Grandpa. May he rest in peace.
He reminded me of, he was like the same generation as my grandpa. And
he kind of looks like your grandfather.
He does,
honestly.
right?
Like, in his older years.
Like a little bit of an affinity for Prince Philip because he kind of reminds me of my grandpa.
He looks like your grandfather. Like, oh, no joke. Like, I just thought about that. Like, dang, he looked like your grandpa.
Right. My grandpa, I don't know how my grandpa would have felt about that. My grandpa was an interesting dude.
He was. I felt like the few times I was around him, like, your grandparents were like, okay, she's here. Don't know what to think of her yet, but she's there.
He was not like, he was definitely a product of his time, right? He was born,
Right.
we think, in like 1914.
Oh,
but
you
like
don't know.
we don't know exactly when he was born. Okay,
Mm.
so the Esau's, my mom's like family name is Esau. And the way that it works is that they were an immigrant family. My great grandparents were immigrants. They came over from Syria and Lebanon, and it was all one big area back in the day. And and they had all 7 of their kids at home births. Not like there was a hospital.
Right.
And so there wasn't like there was a lot of records.
Right.
And then the story goes that my situ lied, my great grandma lied to get my grandpa into school early because she had too many dang kids at home and she wanted him out the house.
Okay.
So she said he was older than he was. So she like falsified a birth record, supposedly.
Oh.
But then my grandfather
gangster.
had to get he had to get what's the word? A security clearance. And he had to go through all this stuff for the army and all this kind of stuff. And they realized that his records, whatever records he had, were destroyed in that big St. Louis fire that they had at back in, I don't even know when it was, but there was a big fire in the records facility in St. Louis. And there are hundreds and thousands of military servicemen whose records are just gone. And so my grandpa ended up being in that. But like, anyway, so we don't quite know how
when
old
he was born, how old he was. So
we have an idea.
He was in his possibly when he passed, like his.
We are pretty
90s,
sure that he passed away 6 days before his 94th birthday.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a rough idea. We think he was about 40 when my mom was born.
Because I was gonna say, like, my grandmother would be 94 in February, and she was born in 1928. Though she used to tell people she was born in 1932, but she was not. She was born in 1928.
Ooh, you putting your grandma's business all the way out there.
She not gonna hear it.
You don't know that someone's gonna come back and be like, you know what Joy said?
Listen. So I'm like, and he's been gone how long now?
He has been gone 2008. So he's been gone a long time now.
Yeah. So I'm like, timeline wise, that sounds about right. Like
2008?
If he would
I think
that
so.
He was 94-ish when he passed.
Yeah. He was
it's amazing we have grandparents with long lives, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's pretty
right. Cool. Well, and I was pretty fortunate. Aside from my dad's dad, who passed away when my dad was 21 before he'd even met my mom. He had a workplace accident and he was killed. But he, aside from that, all 3 of the remaining grandparents that I had lived into their 90s. So I was really fortunate. I lost my last grandparent. My grandma passed away. My mom's mom passed away.
Right before your wedding, right? A year.
Yeah. And well, right after. No. So she was alive when we got married. So right after. So I want to say it was like 2016, 2017, something like that.
Yeah. I knew it was like right around there. Yeah.
But anyways, that's super depressing. Anyways, all that to say, my grandpa was like total product of his time. So like race relations were a little bit iffy for grandpa. But like, I don't know that he was like he wasn't like overtly racist. He was generally racist. You
know, I've learned that there is a difference. Because you think like you have to be like one way or the other, but you also have to look at the reality of people's environment.
Right.
You don't know better until you learn better. And then some of our grandparents and great uncles and things like that, it's a little late for them to, though they try. Case in point, when my aunt and my uncle got married, my aunt's stepdad, Paul, aka Papa, he would say stuff at dinner and I would be like, did anybody, did anybody, like, it would be like borderline to sometimes a little over the borderline. But then it was like, okay, he just doesn't know any better. But then the more he's been around our family, He's
Right.
a lot different. So
Right.
now his older brother, he can't completely deal with because he's still in that mindset. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we were at Thanksgiving. We were at Thanksgiving on, last month, and um, the uncle had called my aunt the day before, and we were like cooking and stuff, prepping the day before. So the uncle, so Papa's brother, called my aunt. Girl, she had him on speaker, and I was just like, what? And some of the stuff that he was saying, including like, we don't have to worry about the world because Trump is going to be president again in the next 2 weeks. So we don't have to like trip about like all these killings going on in the street. And my aunt was like, like it was crazy. So Papa came over on Thursday, so we were telling him about the conversation. He's like, "See, that's why I don't talk to him. I just stay in my lane." I was like, because she was like, "Papa, did Uncle blah 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 call you?" He was like, "If he did, I didn't pay attention to it." Because he's still in that product of his environment, but to the place
Right.
to where he has blinders, whereas Papa is like,
Right. Like, my
to the point where
mom
my aunt
tells,
was like, he loves Leon more than me, and raised me, like,
right.
you know. So,
Well, and that's the thing, like my grandfather, by all accounts, like worked sort of alongside, African American men at probably at like Boeing or in real estate or whatever crazy other things he did. Like, and so it wasn't like he didn't understand or respect like abilities or things like that. It was just like, you said stupid crap because that's what everybody said.
said right,
Right. And
right.
like, I don't think that I will say this though, he passed away right around the time that President Obama was elected and was taking office, and he lost his dang mind. He was not okay.
Oh gosh, I'm glad I was not around to hear that conversation.
Oh gosh. But you know what was hilarious was I remember one of the last conversations he's in hospice, he's in a care facility, and we're talking to him, and we told him that it was between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama for the thing, and he was so angry.
He was like, I don't like either one of them choices.
And I was
a woman or a black guy, like,
yeah, no. And that's he was so anti-Hillary that he was like, oh, fine, Obama.
Listen, I find it hilarious in general that America will still rather a black man over a woman of any color. That's one of the lessons I learned during the Hillary situation. Like, so many people, and it wasn't just politic wise that they were against Hillary. Like, I had people just talk to me and be like, I don't like Hillary because she's a woman. Like,
oh,
what?
That's dumb. I didn't care for Hillary, not because she was a woman, obviously.
Right. I mean, there's other reasons why people, but I'm saying, like, the people I did talk to that was their only reason. I was like, huh. And then I had a conversation with some other people that are like, it's interesting that even in 2008 and 20 whatever, that America surprisingly would rather a black guy over the white chick.
Like, my favorite objection to a woman president is, what if she's on her time of the month and she has the nuclear codes?
I've heard that before, and I'm like, seriously?
I'm like, first off, how many women do you have in your life that haven't killed you? And it's a lot easier to do that. So
seriously.
You just don't know the level of restraint we all show all the time.
Ignorance of what people, aka most men, think of women who have not, the men who haven't evolved in their thinking, that they just kind of think like we are emotional balls of mess sometimes, but we also usually clean up all your mess in various situations. I mean, my boss and I, we had a debate about the show last week, and because he was trying to please everybody, and I'm like, no, I wrote the show, directed the show. I'm not going to let the kids be outside in 50-degree weather. If we have the option to be inside, it only makes sense to do the show inside, period. I shouldn't have to come up. You are the supervisor. I should not be telling you what to do, but I do it all the time anyway. And even if I don't need to, but I do it anyway. But as he lovingly shared at my party. But he's not wrong. I do it all the time. It is what it is. But I said that to say that they think that we're these crazy emotional people, but then we usually always get the job done. Hands down, flat. Like, and don't generally complain as much as some guys. Like, I've worked with men who are more whiny than a toddler, and I'm just like, dude. Like,
my favorite part about that is that, you know, when we are having hormonal rage, that's the part in our cycles when we have the most testosterone. So technically it's the time in our cycles when we're the most male. And
Good point. Good
right?
point. Good point.
So I'm like, y'all don't like it. It's because we're not all soft. My thing is, I think that the thing that, like, my response generally, if I feel that I am just like a little bit on edge, it's not that I'm irrational. It's not that I'm any of these things. It's just that my tolerance level for other people's shenanigans is a lot lower.
It's limited. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, normally my cup of grace, like, filled to the brim. Certain times of the month, it gets a little low. It starts slashing out, you know? I just don't have any grace for people to be dumb. Like, that's really all it is.
Listen.
And so sometimes the Lord just has to do a little bit of extra work to steal. Get my mouth shut.
He's constantly working on us. That's something we talk about all the time. God is constantly working on us. Nobody is perfect. And when you realize you're not perfect, everything is not going to be perfect. Every day is not going to be wrapped up in a bow. You know, and one of the things I pray for every morning is, you know, this is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. I don't know what's going to happen in this day. Of course, I'm praying for protection and provision and favor for every moment of the day, every day. I pray for the Holy Spirit to guide as when I'm listening, because sometimes I'm not, and I can admit that. And but I do that. We don't know what the day is going to be. It's not going to be wrapped up in a bow, you know. And once we realize that, then we can. I think it's easier to accept each other's faults. You know, we accept each other's humanity when we recognize our own humanity, if that makes any, you know, sense. Like, we have to recognize our own humanity. You know what I'm saying? So, like, for instance, today, I had to remember that it's show week at school. Show week with small humans is way different than show week with teenagers and adults. Show week with small humans make me want to pull out all my hair. Anyway, I had to remember.
What's in your tea?
It's only a medicine ball with peppermint. I promise. I promise.
Missed opportunity.
Right? Although everyone is still asking about purple rain recipes from the party, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Like, seriously, legit, like,
it was so good.
Calling about purple rain. But I digress.
Rebecca crushed it.
But yeah, my auntie is a rock star. But I had to remember that our staff, except for myself, my supervisor, and Jelani, the drummer from the party, we're the only senior staff. The rest of our staff are new. So they don't really know how show week goes. So we had a meeting before work today and said, this is how we're going to execute the day. So halfway through the first hour, because we didn't rehearse the first hour, I hear on the walkie-talkie the new staff member who the Lord really does have to continue to help me with, because some days I'm not so Jesus-like when it comes to him. Anyway, but that's another story for another day. I do my best.
Holy Spirit, activate.
You don't know how many times I've actually stopped to do that in class, and the kids just think it's funny because they know it from TikTok, but I'm genuinely asking the Holy Spirit to activate. I do the whole thing, and the kids are like, Miss Joy, Holy Spirit activate. That's funny. No, I'm really asking for the Holy Spirit to activate.
All y'all hooligans are on my last nerve.
Right. So I hear him on the walkie say something, which lets me know that he's not doing what we discussed in the meeting before work. So I say, hey, are you doing XYZ? Oh no, I was still doing sports. Why are you still doing sports when we clearly said at the beginning of the day, this is what was going to happen so that we can all rehearse at 4 o'clock and we will be rehearsing for the rest of the day? Oh, I thought he meant that you guys were going to do that and then I was still supposed to teach sports. No, because you weren't obviously paying attention because he and I both reiterated more than once that this is how this day needs to go. So now the group of kids that you have aren't going to get their homework done because we're starting play rehearsal in 5 minutes. Oh, my bad, my bad. When I tell you, I was like, I don't. So I had to remember, one, he's new. He's never done show week. You know, the Thanksgiving skit was nothing compared to what happens for Christmas. And I had to give him grace because I wasn't. I immediately went to, why weren't you listening? Why weren't you paying attention? This is what, you know. So I talked to him later and I said, I want to apologize to you because I forget that you're new and you've never done this with us. So let me just kind of explain how the rest of the week should go. The show is on Thursday. African Drum and Dance has a performance at LAX tomorrow. As soon as they get back, we have to go into show rehearsal. And we're going to be doing that tomorrow and Wednesday. Thursday, we have no time because Thursday is the show. I also need you to be in charge of one group and keeping them quiet backstage. So tomorrow when we come in, I will have a list of different things for you and Miss Gonzalez and the other staff to do so that you kind of know how we roll and how things roll. I had to take a step back. Was I irritated that he wasn't paying attention in the first place? Absolutely. But that was my humanity. And I had to look and remember that his humanity is new. His humanity is going to make faults just like I am. You know, I make mistakes all the time. And I had to give him grace. And I also it was my responsibility to go to him and apologize for, you know, if he was offended or if I, you know, because I know I can be a little harsh at times. I'm working on it. Thank you, Lord. I can be a little harsh, but it's only because I expect from people what I give. And that doesn't always happen, you know? So I have to remember everyone's not you. They're not going to do the job like you. And that is okay because they have their way. As long as we're all on the same page, then we can get it done. And that was kind of the reminder. Like, I needed that today because I wanted to strangle him when I realized that he wasn't listening. I was like, and it didn't help that the other staff member who did listen walks by my classroom. She's Spanish. Okay. He's not going to listen to the show, so I can say this. Miss Gonzalez, who is hilarious. Okay. She walks past me. She goes, ay, Frasto. That's his last name. And she just, every time she's frustrated or irritated with him, she just walks past me and just goes, ay, Frasto. And I just know that he has pissed her off.
You know. Oh, gosh.
I was like, at least it's not just me giving this boy a hard time. He kind of has a pin on everybody. Like, we all like, whew, okay, he's new, he's young, all right.
I'll be right back. Lucky needs let loose at the room. He's very...
Oh, hi, Lucky. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, he... Poor little Lucky had a rough night last night. I'm trying to keep an extra eye on him. He had a seizure last night.
Yes, I prayed for Lucky.
Thank you. I'm still not sure he's 100%. He's never had a seizure with us before. Yeah. And my mom and dad came over and had dinner. They brought their two little dogs. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden he we were sitting at dinner and he started like retching like he was going to throw up. And, you know, little dogs, sometimes that happens from time to time. It doesn't faze me. I thought, oh, sometimes, you know, Walter had a nervous habit of like licking his paws. And sometimes he would lick and lick and lick and lick and then like trigger a gag reflex.
Oh.
And so sometimes Lucky's done that too. But then, but he did. He threw up. And then he immediately went into a little seizure, short one, only 10 seconds or so. It was very quick. It felt like forever, but it was pretty quick. And then, you know, afterwards he was kind of doing the normal after a seizure thing, which I found out later, like, is common for dogs to like go and like sit in the corner and try to hide and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's been normal today, except really sleepy today, which I don't know if that again is because of the
That's
seizure.
probably
or what.
from the seizure or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know much about it. I do know because Tramika has a multi-poo. And just two of them actually. But Paris had a seizure. The first time Paris had a seizure, and I was over at the house, and I was just like, what is that? Like, I had never seen a dog have a seizure. So you don't really know exactly what to do, but it's frightening because of the way their body is moving. You can't really do anything, you know? And just like for a human, really, you can't do a whole lot when a human is having a seizure except let the seizure play out, basically. You know?
Right. You know, tilt their head, but other than that.
Tilt their heads, and other than that, you know. So, it's very interesting, and you never really know what caused it. She only has had a few, you know, over the last few years, but it just kind of came out of nowhere, just like Lucky. So I'm like, I don't know what actually causes that. It'd be interesting to look into, though.
I was looking it up and like trying to figure out, because like, you know, we've moved different. There's all kinds of different critters out here, you know? And so it's like, I've, you know, grown up in Southern California. I've lived there my whole life. I know the bug situation. I know the critter situation there. I don't know it here. And so I'm like, did he get, you know, I'm trying to check. I'm like, did he get
like
bit by
tick or something?
I'm like, he's on preventative heartworm medication, like all this stuff. So sometimes we called the emergency vet last night, because we do have the phone number for an emergency vet out here, and we called him when it happened, and I said, here's the situation. He's an older dog. He's a senior dog. He had this little tiny thing. I said, should we bring him in? And she goes, no, honestly, like when they have just a little seizure, it's the first one and they don't have more, there's really not a lot we can do or know why it happens. If he has more, if he has a cluster, you can bring him in. But so we watched him. It's been more than 24 hours. And he's not had any issue. He slept through the night just fine. He walked this morning and this evening, totally fine. He's eaten, like, and we had just switched his food too. Like, we can't get the food that we had him on. So we're doing that thing where you mix half and half and you switch it over with the new food. Yeah. So I'm like, was there something in the new food? It was like the first day.
Right.
So it was kind of a stressful day.
I'm glad he's doing better. Yeah.
He is doing better, totally, but I'm like,
stressful. I'm glad
we just lost Walter not that long ago. I'm like, I don't wanna...
You're like, I can't, like, you can't deal with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's going to be okay, thankfully.
God willing. So we still want to get him in to see the vet, because we need to get him established with the vet.
Get him checked out and get him established with the vet there anyway. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the tea.
But all day long, I've been like, if you saw me, if you're watching earlier and you kept seeing me on the video, like glance over to my shoulder, it's because his little dog bed is right next to me. And I was like watching, like he would do something and I'd be like, what are you doing? Like, what do you need? So I'm like, what's wrong? Because I'm like panicked. No, everything is a big deal.
I totally get that. I will say this, so the last episode, it was right after my birthday. And now this episode is right after Jess's birthday.
My birthday.
She had a birthday. She's now officially
some birthday flowers here.
30s. Those are beautiful.
They are. They're from Ashley, the lovely and talented Ashley. Shout out. They're very pretty. She sends through a company called Fresh Sends, # not sponsored, but if you want to sponsor.
I've never heard of them. It was funny because I was like, what can I send Jessica? And then I was like, an edible arrangement. And then I was like, I don't know what fruit she's allergic to, if any, but
all the fruits. But it was just, it was nice. It's just to have a little,
you got to go to a fancy country club though for your birthday. That was nice.
It was.
Although That's not exactly where you want it to go. But
Well, I did. Well,
okay.
So this is gonna sound super bougie, and I just yeah.
It's fine.
So
I'm bougie. It's okay.
with where we're building our house is technically in a country club neighborhood.
Okay.
It's a gated community. Now, we are by no means in the fancy part of this community. We are in the middle class fancy version of this neighborhood. But but we will have to like join the country club as part of the HOA. So
okay.
But we're not going to have like the golf membership or anything like that, like the golf part of it. It's just the ability to use the pool
so you can live in the neighborhood, basically.
It's like you have to, this is how you get to use the pool and all that kind of stuff is this like little package. And it includes dinner at the club, right? Or like access to the club.
Okay.
Well, my in-laws we haven't officially purchased there yet because their house is not built yet. But my in-laws they have a piece of property that they want to build on. And so they are club members and they pay their dues because they have to, because it's part of the contract. And so they're like, oh, well, why don't you? They're like, we want to put your name on the list so that you can use a membership, because while we're still in California and you guys are there, you can make our minimums at the club, because you have to spend like $40 a month at the club. Okay.
Oh, you have like on top of your.
Yeah, you have to like buy $40 in food and beverage at the club, at the like restaurant. Okay. And so we're like, oh, well, why don't we just go for my birthday, and then that'll cover you guys and you'll be set. Like, no problem. So we said, let's just do it for my birthday. That sounds like it'll be fun. So my sweet in-laws call and they make an arrangement for us. They put our name on the list and they're like, hey, it's our daughter-in-law's birthday. Do you guys do anything special? And they're like, yeah, we do a cheesecake and we'll write her name on it. It'll be happy birthday. That'll be great. So we're like, perfect. They're like, great, let's do that. That'll be wonderful. So we get there, and I should preface this by saying, probably 35 minutes before our reservation, my mom fell. She was...
No!
Mama, if you're listening to this, know that I love you with every part of my heart. But sometimes your house is a death trap. She had this like stool that she was sitting on to do her makeup at a little vanity, and it had wheels on it, and it wasn't on a rug or anything. It was just on like we have like vinyl wood flooring, whatever. And the chair went out from behind her and she fell. My mom has degenerative discs. Like, she's got a bad back already. Right. And it was like a whole thing. Like, she has bad knees, like bad back. We had to try and get her up. It was a whole thing. Aww. And so we're already like here, like up to 9, because we've just like had.
Are we gonna have to baby-proof mom's apartment?
I told her they've got these like dog rugs everywhere, and I was like, Mom, you were like grandma's house where there were rugs all over and it was a flippin' death trap. Pull the dog rugs off the floor. I'm not doing this with you.
What is it with older people and the bunch of rugs everywhere? My grandmother is the same way, and when we pull them up, well, we kind of took over because we do.
I'm
everything.
like.
But I'm like, what is with the generation before us and the generations before them with the rugs?
I don't even know. But like, so my mom is okay. She's really sore.
Thank God.
But we don't think that there's a huge issue so far, at least. She might need to try and find a chiropractor out here sooner rather than later, because she's
that's probably like the next major thing that needs to happen. Yeah. That's important.
But so we get there, and there's like, it's not like a late reservation. It was like a 6:30 reservation, but there's not very many people in the restaurant, and they seat us kind of over in the quieter side of things. Okay. And then like promptly forgot about us.
What?
Like, the guy finally comes back with menus, and it wasn't the full menu. It was just like a fancy menu for that night, because it was like French night. And so,
ooh la la.
Yeah. And so he finally comes back. We order, and like, it's a slower pace here, so we're having to get used to that, and kind of on the service level of anything that's a little bit slower pace. Okay. And then we get our dinner, and it was, our salads and all that kind of stuff, and the food was great. Food was really good. I had a really lovely coq au vin. It was French night, so like a stewed chicken. My dad and I both had that. John had the steak au poivre. My mom had some kind of salmon. And 45 minutes after our dinner plates are cleared, they come back and ask if we want dessert.
I'm sorry. Did you say 45 minutes after your dinner plates were cleared?
I said 45 minutes after our dinner plates were cleared. Like, and we had mentioned, they're like, oh yeah, we're here. If it's my birthday, my in-laws, da 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 da. Whole story. Nothing. So eventually, and I mean, it's not an inexpensive dinner. Like, we threw down a decent amount of money per person for the meal.
It was French night at a country club. So
yeah. I mean, it wasn't, we would have spent more at like a prior Ruth's Chris or something like that, but it still wasn't inexpensive. Between dessert and salads and main courses and all that, like it was a decent amount of money. And they never did come out with the cheesecake. We found out about the cheesecake thing later, like the whole 9 yards. Like we had to beg, borrow, and steal to get our check. Like it was a whole thing.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it was kind of disappointing, but
like,
it was.
You only
I
told
didn't
me
care.
bits of this beforehand, so
Yeah.
I'm only hearing the whole full situation like now, and I'm like, okay, I get why you said what you said before. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was fine. Ultimately, I'm like, I'm 39.
We'll go
what do
with
I care?
The slower paced
dinner.
Town, state, situation.
They were just too busy chatting amongst
themselves. We're from
themselves.
California. Everything moves generally quickly. And when it doesn't, we're like, what's wrong with you? Although I'm a little upset with California. Now we have some bacon law that's about to happen. And I'm like, what the heck is going on in California? It's like really stupid.
Yeah, bacon prices are going to go up in January.
Green car thing that's going to happen. And then now there's like a bacon rule. First of all, bacon is already expensive. It's already expensive, okay? It's not going to deter people from eating bacon. Like, come on. But now there's like a bacon. I was like, I had to read on it because I was like, what does this mean? Like, I got one of those like Google alerts and I was like, huh? Like I was confused. And I was like, oh, California.
Okay, so you want to know what's crazy? Like, generally things are sort of similarly priced here in a lot of respects. Gas is like $2 a gallon cheaper. And
that's a bonus already.
Ground beef is like $3 a pound cheaper.
What are eggs out there? Because eggs are pretty high these days.
They're cheaper, definitely cheaper, because there's a rule in California about like cage free stuff on them too. Yeah. Same kind of thing as the bacon. So,
seriously,
but you want to know what's crazy,
guys? If you don't know some of these agriculture laws and food laws and things like that, even if you're not in the state of California and you're listening from another state, even another country, find out, because you don't want to be like in the store like, why is this $30 more than it was 5 weeks ago? Like, learn what's happening.
Right. So they have the thing about the pork is that all pork products are going to be more expensive after January 1st in California, because you can only sell pork in the state that is guaranteed to meet certain space requirements. So like they have to have like 40 square feet per pig or something like that.
I was like, do I need to like find a pig farm and get my stuff? Well,
and that's the thing with like
vegans, don't add us. You do you. It's fine. I'm not mad at your veganness. Don't be mad at my carnivoreness. Okay.
Right.
I love and respect you just the same.
Right.
There are some vegan dishes I like, Who
were a little extra.
Yeah.
But here in Georgia, you can get an Egg McMuffin for like $3 something through the McDonald's app.
Right.
John checked it versus the one that was across the street from our house. Like he went to order from that McDonald's and the same Egg McMuffin was $5 something.
What? Why?
Labor and cost of food.
Cost of living and cost of food. I mean, I know our audience, you guys have been listening. I've been going back and forth about whether I should go closer to Jess since we're working together and we're trying to build a ministry and a brand and all these things, or I stay here and work from here. And seriously, like other than prayer, I'm just looking at different things that are going on. Like seriously, the bacon law almost threw me. Like I was just like,
I never thought the bacon would be the thing that tipped you over that.
And not because it is. I'm just not because it's bacon or pork in general. I'm just like, what? Like there's so many, and like this has been in action for like 3 years. Like, why did I not know this? Like it's been a big debate and all this stuff for 3 years, and it's like all of a sudden January 1st, boom, like what?
Oh yeah.
So I'm not saying that I'm leaving yet or anything. I'm just saying.
Well, did you hear that the police union for Los Angeles County was telling people not to come and visit because they're like, yeah, crime's real bad out here. We're not sure we can keep you safe.
Yes, I read that. So, well, do you know what has been happening?
Yeah, it's those smash and grab.
There's been like random smash and grabs. Now, mind you, it hasn't been like this like forever. You know, back in the day when I was a kid, maybe, especially around, and it's, you know, crime increased everywhere around the holidays for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
But then, like, all of a sudden, it's a bunch of smash and grabs, like, everywhere at, like, Nordstrom's and all these places. I am so sorry. My boss is calling me in the middle of the show, and I'm not going to answer because we are recording the show. But that's what that ring was, if you heard it. He can call me later. Oh, he's probably at Michael's. Anyway. Because I'll come back to it. I'll tell y'all why he's at Michael's. We couldn't find hippopotamus costumes. So we now
as
have
one
to,
can't. Yeah.
Right. So we have to create it. And so he's probably at Michael's trying to find things for me and he to make it. And I just can't answer the phone right now. Anyway, so
I want a hippopotamus for Christmas.
That's the song that the kids are doing.
It's because only a hippopotamus will do.
Yes, it's cute. It's my little ones. It's my kinder first grade group that are doing that song. Because to
no
me,
rhinoceroses
and hippopotamuses.
Such a cute song.
The sequence of the scene is their actual hippopotamus, like dreaming, like what it would be like if a kid wanted them for Christmas. That's the premise behind
adorable.
That, so. They actually are quite cute. They're very cute. And they do their little dance. So anyway,
adorable.
The smash and grabs. Yeah, and they've been happening at like random places, like out of nowhere, like people like smashing up Nordstrom, and I'm like, what? So
yeah, it's like a gang, like a whole big group. Like you get a large group, they come in, they smash the windows, they go in, they pull it out, and then they leave.
So yeah, there was a warning that went out to other people who may want to come visit during the holidays to not. I don't want you to visit for other reasons, like we're crowded, but
I'm just doing my part, even.
The other part though is the smash and grabs. Like it's been kind of intense. So I did hear about that, and that's why it was happening. I'm disappointed that it's happening because it really hasn't been like that in so long. Like in the 90s, there was a lot of stuff like that going on, but like it hasn't like been that way in a very long time. So
right. Well, and in
be
California,
safe out there, no matter where you are, because the holidays just bring out the most random feelings and emotions in people. You have people who are hurting. You have people who are grieving. You have increase in crime, and like I said, not just in LA County, not just California, but elsewhere. You know, all over the United States for sure. You know, it happens in Arizona where my dad is. You know, all that, and you just have people who are just like overtly greedy. Like it's just this time of the year. I love holidays. I love Christmas, but sometimes you look at humans, big and small, and you're like, why? Why do you have to have 19,000 wreaths? Now, mind you, I love to decorate. I've been behind on my decorating. I'm just decorating my house this week because I just hadn't had time. Like, I just genuinely haven't had time. So I'm just now decorating. But, like, there's nothing I can say that I actually, like, need. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are things I would like. And I try to teach every script I've ever written for the holidays, whether it was for work or for a church or for my own church. I try to make sure not only is the message Christ, but I make sure that the message is love in general. Like show the person you love them, not by necessarily what you give them. Give your time. Give your, give your conversation. Give your support. Like last night I went to my choir's concert because this is the first time in forever I wasn't in the Christmas concert. And I went to support, and I just went to support, and they were all like genuinely shocked that I was there. And I was just like, I just wanted to support, I just wanted to be there, let y'all
Right.
know I'm still here, support you guys. You did a wonderful job. It was funny though, like there was a person in the audience. I went to go talk to my conductor after. Don't know this lady. I don't recognize her from nothing. And she goes, wait, you weren't up there this year. And I was like, no, I took some time off. And she said, I knew I was missing that face. I was like, I couldn't remember your name, but I know I'm used to seeing you up there. And you usually have like a solo or two. And I was like, yeah, just took some time off this season, but I'll be back later. She's like, well, I hope so. We'll be at the spring concert. I hope you can make it. I hope you're there. But you never know, like the impact, like of what you do. Like, I don't remember. I've never seen this lady, like, or at least that I can recognize.
Right.
And
and also usually under lights and stuff.
Yeah, I don't see half of the people in the audience.
Right, you can't see nothing.
Which is really one of my favorite parts, if I can be quite honest with you. But she and her friend were both like, yeah, like, I told my friend, she was like, where's the one? She usually has colorful hair. Like, all.
That's why.
Yeah, it's my hair. My hair and my nails and my tattoos. Like, I don't, that's my thing. But it was very interesting. So it's those types of things that I try to incorporate, and I try to instill in people wherever I go, whatever I do. Yes, gifts are amazing, but I love spending time with my family. I love cooking together on Christmas Day. I love, all those things that are not monetary. They're not things I can unwrap, but it's memories that you're making, and it's the different, opportunities that you have to impact someone's life by doing something like being in a concert, like doing different things. Those are the things that are important. So the greed of the holiday makes me a little upset, because every year it's like Christmas starts, like next year Christmas is going to start in July. Like, people are going to be like decorating their houses, buying Christmas lights. We're going to I'll be like, oh, Halloween. Then it's like, oh yeah, Thanksgiving, maybe. Then Christmas. Like, I love Christmas, and I still be like, do y'all forget there's other days? Like, no, there's. Okay.
I legit did a post for the university where it was like 11:59 and it's like turkeys, and then 12 o'clock it's Santa. I was like, because it's true.
That's so true. It's funny. My little cousin Elijah is going to be Buddy the Elf this weekend at a mall. Oh. And I told him he has to totally send me pictures, because with the hair already, the super curly, like,
I'm here
it's
for it.
It's going to be hilarious. I can't wait. If he sends me the pictures, I'll post it on our We Digress
Too cute
Instagram.
Well, it's funny because like John was saying something to me about, okay, we got through your birthday, now it can be Christmas. And I was like, oh no, like my birthday is Christmas. Like that's just how it goes.
It's just how it goes.
Like, I'm like, I'm used to, it's also like this year was a little rough too, because the 6th was my last day of like full-time ministry, and so it was like a kind of a painful anniversary. Yeah, all wrapped up in a nice little bow around my birthday. So it was
2
great.
days later is your birthday.
Yeah, so like, okay. So, but like normally, I'm still not used to having Christmas like time.
Yeah.
To do anything, like,
right? Because you're usually
to do anything.
Yeah.
To me, Christmas doesn't start until the like Christmas Eve service ends. When Christmas Eve service ends, then my Christmas can begin, because then I can celebrate and rest with my family and enjoy. And like that's when Christmas starts to me. So the fact that I don't have any commitments for Christmas or services to plan or rehearsals to run or
It's weird.
I still don't know what to do with myself.
Right. I mean, like I wasn't in the concert. I'm not doing a play for church, though I'm doing the play for the kids, but I'm just like, I'm used to having like
so many things,
so many different things going on. And it was funny because one of my students told me today, like, she's one of the narrators for the show, and she goes, Miss Joy. She was very serious. This is how she was looking at me too. Miss Joy, I feel a lot of pressure. And I said, well, sweetheart, why do you feel pressure? And she says, I have like 4 shows this week. And I said, oh, that's wonderful. She's like, what? I said, sweetheart, usually this time of year, I'm doing a show here. a show somewhere else, plus singing background for other people and doing a full concert and doing other things. And I also have a podcast, and I also have, and I also have, and I also have. She was like, "Oh, let me stop. I guess I don't really have as much pressure as I thought." She's a fifth grader, by the way, guys. Yeah.
Oh, golly.
I said, the fact of the matter is, I did not say that for you to feel bad or to feel like I have so much going on. The fact of the matter is, if I didn't think you could do it, you wouldn't be doing it.
Right.
So, with that being said, you got this. Just keep working on your lines and stop blocking yourself on stage. Because she keeps like folding her arms in front of herself, and I don't know why. And I'm like, girl.
Self-conscious.
Yeah, I think that's
trying to hide. Yeah.
So, yeah, we're so used to, I was talking to her and I was like, I am used to having so many things going on. Not that we don't have a lot going on, because we do, but it's not the things that we're normally have going on.
Yep. So it's just a weird, like.
It's weird and nice at the same time. Because next year, this time, I don't think it'll be like that.
God willing, we got from your lips to God's ears, as it were.
Hey, you already know. I don't even know why I said that. That was just a faith moment that God was just like, say this. And I was like, all right. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know why I said it, but there we go.
I'll take it. It really has been an exercise in like, it's been funny. Okay. You're going to laugh. So I'm editing your book. And I'm making progress on it. We are going to come hell or high water. I'm going to have this ready for you for the 20th. And we're getting close. We're only just a couple pages. I'm just a little bit. But
I'm not worried whatsoever.
This is more for myself. This is more just for myself. We're getting close. I'm making progress. We're getting there. We're 3/4 of the way through. But your book talks a lot about knowing your purpose and knowing your identity and who you are and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And this last year has been tough for me because the thing that has been so closely tied to my identity for 20 years is not part of my existence currently. Right. And it messes with you, right? I had a friend who talked a lot, and actually I'm hoping that we can get her on the podcast at some point.
Wonderful.
She deals with chronic illness and like talking about having that identity when she can no longer work.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that before too, like when you can no longer work and that's not the thing. And in a way, it's not that I can't work, it's that I'm trying to work and no one will hire me for that. But but still, the thing that is so closely tied to who you are, my identity as a pastor, as a worship leader, like I don't have that anymore. And what do I do now?
When you're not walking in the thing that you know and believe is your purpose, it's hard to function. Really,
it is.
It really is.
And when it wasn't like my call necessarily, like it wasn't my call to not walk in that anymore. Even though I prayed desperate prayers where that was the only thing I knew how to pray, even though that wasn't really what I wanted, but it's what I thought I wanted because I was so in pain. That's why I'm grateful that the Lord, for that passage where it says, he intercedes for us when we don't know how to pray. La 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 la. For those of you who remember Old School Point of Grace, mid 2000s, and or remember Sanctified singing that, for those of you who are royals, take me back.
Sanctified. We still gotta get a Sanctified reunion episode.
Seriously, we do. Oh my gosh, can you imagine the stories?
That's going to be a very funny episode.
So many. But, it's been encouraging and also kind of like challenging to be editing your book because it's hitting me in the place where I am. And so I'm having to like wear 3 different hats. Like we'll read through the passage and we'll like kind of go, okay, let's, adjust for grammar and
editor hat on,
exclamation points and all that kind of stuff. And then it's like, okay, now we have to go through and edit for like, I have to absorb it. Right. And I have to kind of take it in. And then I have to go back and edit it for flow and content and all this other stuff. Make sure, our what's the word
Our
I'm looking for?
I's are dotted and our T's are crossed.
Yeah, but like our references are correct and our citations are good and like all this kind of stuff and doing all of that. So it's this like process for me of what I should have done. I should have just read through the whole thing and then gone back through
And then gone back.
I'm doing a little. I've never edited a book before. You would give me. Oh, we'll get it.
I haven't seen everything, but I think you're doing great. I don't believe that it would have been on my heart and forgot to ask, like, tell me to ask you if you weren't the person to do it. And so we don't know what doors this is going to open for the both of us.
Yeah.
Because though we have other things that we're planning and we're lining up with, we have no idea how much this is. Although I already had, like I said, Auntie Connie is like, so how are you getting ready for book 2? Ma'am, let me get one out. I don't even, I barely got this one out. Like,
you're like, hold on, it's not, we're not even published officially yet.
It's not even like, yeah. So, but I believe it's going to open doors, not just for me, but for you as well. Our connection is something that's like amazing. Like when I've said this before on the show and anywhere else when I've talked about you to anyone, us in this season of working together has been a divine connection. It's different from working together in the past. Working together in the past showed us that we know we can work together because we've done it.
Right.
But this has been something different. And it's not just about the book, but the other things that we talk about, the show, all these things. And it was funny when you did do your, one of your speeches at the party. First of all, everybody tried to make me cry that night. I did okay. I thought I was going to lose it several times.
We were working really hard. I'm not going to lie. Like, I don't think we talked about it, but we were all just kind of like, we're going to make it happen.
No, like, I'm sure I did have tears come out a few times. Like, it was beautiful. But one of the things you said that I really for almost lost it was that if you would have had this book several years before, that things in your life would have been different. And I was just like, what?
It's true.
It meant so many things to me in one moment. It meant that one, okay, God, I did do the right thing and I did write the right things and I did hear you. And then it also meant that any age range, any group, any person can do that. And then it meant like, wow, my friend believes in me.
Oh, absolutely.
She believes in what I have.
Yeah.
And so I was doing my best. I was like, I'm gonna lose it. I almost lost it walking into the party. Like I knew people were gonna be in there, and I walked in and I was like stunned. Like I didn't know. Like,
oh my gosh, you came.
I was like, no, for real. I held back tears. I was so much. Thankfully, shout out to Jordan, my makeup artist.
I saw her just walking around.
She literally just walked around the party, wiping and powdering me down, like literally. And my dad, crazy self, says, I want one of those.
Oh gosh.
He was like, she just follows you around and wipes your face. And I was like, yes, she does. That may sound really bougie, I just realized, but it is what it is. It was my birthday, you know. It is what it is.
And may I just say that when I saw your dress, you had not really given or revealed any details about the dress, only that you were going to be wearing sequins and that it was being made. So I get up there and I see you come in and I was just like, hey, there's some stuff going on. Give us a second. And then I go up there and I was like, dang, girl. I believe my response was, damn. Because I don't know if you guys, I tried to post some photos. They did not do Joy's dress justice. If you were on our Instagram that night, I posted some photos. But like, oh my gosh. That dress.
Tell you, I actually did not see the dress until Wednesday. the week of the party. Like, I hadn't seen it. I told her what I wanted. I sent her a picture. She had my measurements from when she did my dress for Sharon's wedding.
Right.
And she went based on that. I went Wednesday for a fitting and I saw the dress and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I picked it up Saturday morning because she was finishing the sleeve part.
I was getting like major Belle from Beauty and the Beast vibe in like the best possible way. Like everything good about that dress.
Was like, you look magical, because when she saw me, I had the mini ears on.
Yes.
So everybody was like, oh my God. The sequin material, like it was, when I told her what I wanted, she went above and beyond. Oh, and also, so shout out to Jerry Banks for my dress, but also shout out to Disney in My Veins on Instagram for my handcrafted mini ears. She designs Disney ears and masks to match if you want the mask to match. She also makes she makes them for all season. She even made my mom some Laker ones. I had her make my mom some Laker ones in a mask, so when we go to Disneyland eventually, she has her like Laker stuff. I also have some cheetah print ones that she made as well, and a mask to match it. And she's awesome. So Bree is her name, and she's Disney in My Veins is her Instagram. Go check her out. She's really awesome.
So good. But yeah, really you were awesome. Like stunning. I was like,
thank you. You're
always gorgeous.
I felt you were absolutely like gorgeous that night. So
you're like a million.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I really appreciate it. But yeah, a few people were very shocked about the dress. Even the party planner, she came outside and was like, whoa. Like, she was like, wow, let me get a picture before anybody else gets a picture.
So pretty. I was like, get it, girl.
It was a really great night. Thank you again for coming. Like, y'all, Jessica and John came from Georgia to come be with me that night. Like,
I wouldn't have missed it.
They had got furniture the week before. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That was
like,
the only thing that would have kept us. And at that point, it would have only kept one of us. Because John was like, you can go and I will.
It was so awesome. And I was so glad you guys were there. The one thing about that night was, you know, aside from a few people who just like really couldn't make it, everybody there had a large impact in my life. Like, everyone in that room. And it was just like amazing. And then my cousin Tanae, she was late, but she was like, I'm gonna be there, and she did the spoken word piece. And
oh my gosh, that was
Joannie did the
she was
drumming.
So great.
She's so good. She's awesome. Her ministry is called Grown Godly Women. It's her ministry. They actually are having a prayer breakfast coming up soon. I can post that later on our page if you're in the LA County Inglewood area. She has a great ministry as well. Because one thing about us, we're going to support all the ministries. It's not just us.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all on the same team.
And she's actually, she and her husband are junior high pastors at Faithful Central Bible Church.
So awesome.
They are awesome. But yeah, I was so glad she came through with spoken word. And it just hit me one day. And I was like, hey, do you think that you can do a piece at the party? She was like, yeah. You know? Without hesitation.
I was amazed. And it was like, she flowed right there. Like, it was all spontaneous. And I was just like,
yeah, she's awesome.
I was recording, but my jaw was like on the floor. I was just like in awe. I'm like, oh my God, how did your brain work that fast?
It was so cool. It was so great. But I was so blessed that you were there. And, you know, let me tell you guys something about Jessica and my sister Jen. They know me and they know how I like things and what I want things to be. Now, mind you, I did not want either of them working at this party. But when I tell you, they're going to always make sure that the job gets done and that I'm not going to have to worry. They made sure the job got done. And I am so grateful. Listen, Jen.
Oh, she's a rock star.
Jen she's very aggressive, but in a good way. And she called me a couple times like, this is going on, but don't worry. I'm like, I'm not, because you're there. So I'm not worried at all.
Oh, gosh.
You know, at one point, Jordan was like, I want everybody to stop calling you. Because there was also things going on with grandma that day. So that was a lot. I was in super high stress mode that day. Like,
yeah,
the dress was finished later than it needed to be. It took me 2 hours to get my grandmother to get out the house, to go check into the hotel, to get my makeup done. Like, it was just, So by the time everything happened, I was like, "Oh, it's here."
Need to be
But
done.
announcing the book was probably the most nerve-wracking of everything, because the whole night my stomach was in knots, because I'm like, I'm gonna announce this book, like I'm gonna show them the cover, like I'm gonna say like there's a date for this thing, and now it has to happen. There's no going back.
Can I just tell you that I had done a good chunk of editing, like up to that point. I edited on the plane on the way there. I edited on the plane on the way home. Like it was a whole thing. But as soon as we announced the date, I was like, oh crap. It's like, oh my God, I have a date.
I know. And and the funny thing is, we did talk about the date beforehand.
Yeah,
it's not like
I think I
didn't
gave
spring
you
it
the
on her,
date.
guys. She gave me the date. I didn't spring it on her, I promise.
No, I wasn't like
But
that.
yeah.
I was like, and then I thought, what was I thinking? I overshot my abilities. Like, no, but we're totally gonna make it because
I'm not worried. It's gonna be awesome.
I am editing.
I was trying to figure out pre-ordering, but it just has not been working. Like every time I get to a point to figure it out, and then it was like, oh, you can only do pre-order on ebooks, and I was like, because I mean, I'm sure we're gonna have it available paperback, hardcover, and ebook, because ebook is super easy.
Yes.
So I was just like, yeah. I've had a few people ask me about pre-order. So if you are one of those people and you're listening, it's been a bit of a hassle, but just be ready.
We will get there
on the 20th.
Right. We're gonna make it work. But yeah, it's getting there. I promise, Cat's Honor. But no, I mean it's been an eventful week.
I'm so glad that we're still friends after you read this book. And her response to me was, "Shut up."
Right?
And I just laughed.
Like 89% of it was stuff I already knew.
True.
And the other like 11%, like you prepared me for. So like
that's true. I did, or at least I tried to.
And besides, it's not like the other 11% is anything that's going to make me go, no, I cannot be friends with that. Whatever.
I love the Elizabethan accent, right?
Right? I say, Governor, how dare you? To channel my inner Olivia Colman.
It's just interesting, like, just how this was something we talked about, and now, I mean, just with the podcast, something we talked about, and now we're doing it. Book, something we talked about, and it's like happening. Conference that's coming up. It's something we've been talking about for probably almost 2 years now, and now, like 2022, we're putting it into action. So I'm excited.
It's a whole thing.
I think 2022 is going to be some God manifestation of some things that we've prayed for in the past few years. I'm not saying that he just downloaded that to me or anything. That's just something I believe in my heart, because we've been diligent in the things, in the little things. And I just believe that the doors are just going to open, and that he'll make things happen through our faith and our obedience. Because that's one thing, well, I think we talked about having a conversation on the show about manifestation and the differences of, because I had a friend, I told you, that I posted that manifestation was witchcraft, but the way I grew up learning about manifestation through God is completely different than what others believe is manifestation. Because, for instance, my coworker the other day was saying, like, oh, he's gonna Disneyland is opening back up their gospel Lion Kingy thing, so he's gonna be drumming. And he was like, man, I've been manifesting this for a long time. And I was like, you can't manifest, God manifest. But I didn't know how to like explain it to him in that moment, and it wasn't the right time to like talk about it. But that's something we'll talk about on the show. Another episode. Not tonight.
It's all right.
But
always good. Yeah,
I just said that as a disclaimer because I used the word manifestation. I didn't want people to be like, oh, they trying to manifest stuff on their own. No.
This is not The Secret. We do not attract anything. This is not how that works.
No.
We talked about this on both of the episodes when your mom was on. Just kind of my, like, the mental like the difficulty that I have kind of with some of those terminologies and kind of the thing. And, you know, I'll be honest, and I've brought this up time and time again, but it's like legitimately bothered me the last couple of weeks. TC has kind of like, I've been like, it's been grating on me. So it's like, I've
been behind a few weeks on TC, but so I have to catch up and we can totally talk about it.
Well, I have been watching the sermons. It's just their social media posts are like making my spidey sense tingle. Anyways, all that to say, like, I'm still trying to maintain an awareness that my theology is not the end all be all of all theology, right? That I am not the arbiter of truth. Right. I should be an arbiter of truth, but I'm not the arbiter of truth. That's God.
Right. There's a difference. Yeah. Totally a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just been, it's funny to hear you say that, because I'm like, yeah, we've got so much to talk about, because I got thoughts. We want to do that one. We got coming up, we have an episode on, we're going to talk about the rise and fall of Mars Hill. Yes. That is, which has some of that kind of underlining in it. A little bit. Yeah. There's some of that, but also more that kind of goes back to a lot of church hurt and church abuse and some of that which stuff. And
something we've talked about before, but it goes a little bit more in detail, which is, I think, going to be a really good episode.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you haven't listened to Christianity Today's Rise and Fall of Mars Hill, I highly recommend it. They've finished the series. It's over now. Had the last episode that aired this week. And let me just tell you that it was it will hurt your heart. But you will also, it's just so messy, because God really did use Mars Hill to do some extraordinary things in people's lives. And yet it was so fundamentally broken and so fundamentally narcissistic and just abusive. So it's just this really difficult dynamic to listen to. And I think
it's heartbreaking when you hear that about any ministry. You know, we've talked about this before. Like we've talked about church hurt. We've talked about the experience of that and how that can really damage a Christian's identity.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to, talking about that. And then, of course, we'll share some other things that we have coming up with you guys. I know I kind of mentioned the conference, but we'll talk about that later. But we got some good stuff, I think, coming up. And I think so. Keep believing God for open doors. We're glad that you're here. We're glad that you listen. We're glad you watch us. And if you want, do something for us for Christmas, like and share our posts and page and our YouTube channel and subscribe. That's a free gift that you can give Jess and I this holiday season.
And you can be a part of the podcast too. You can go to joyandjess.com. You can leave a voice message for us if you have thoughts about any of the things that we have said. Please leave us a voice message. You can be a part of the podcast. We could talk to you. And you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, wherever podcasts are sold. YouTube. I don't know. Do people sell podcasts?
Funny. I don't know if they do, but if they do.
Right. Check us out on Instagram at We Digress with Joy_Jess. You can email us at podcast@joyandjess.com. If you have episode ideas, something you want to hear us talk about, hit us up at podcast@joyandjess.com.
Absolutely.
And I think that's all the plugging that we need to do for the end of this episode.
I think so.
All right, y'all. Have a good night.
Have a good night, y'all. Well, all right. Morning when you hear this.
Whenever you listen.
Whenever you listen. It's evening for us.
The Lord bless you and keep you. All right, enough.
Jess is like getting her groove.
Promise it's just cider. Like apple cider, not like the good like
no hard ale.
Yeah. No. And on that note, bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Check us out on the web at joyandjess.com. That's JOI'AndJESS.com. We'll see you next week.